Thank you. Welcome, everyone. Planning Advisory Committee public meeting on Tuesday, June the 3rd, 2025. I'll call the meeting to order at 5:30 p.m. Before we begin tonight's meeting, I'd like to remind the committee of a few procedural rules to ensure our discussions remain efficient and respectful. Any additions to the agenda, including items under new business, must be brought forward at the time the agenda is being approved. If you are requesting to add an item under new business, you are required to identify that it is being introduced and referred to administration for reports or matter deemed to be urgent. Additionally, as per the procedure bylaw, members are permitted two opportunities to speak to each item. To help keep the meeting moving smoothly, please do your best to ask all your questions during your first opportunity to speak. Discussion at this table is not meant to be a dialogue back and forth with a single member. Finally, I would like to remind everyone to remain professional, respectful, and cordial in all interactions with fellow committee members and with staff. A constructive and respectful tone helps us conduct business effectively and in the best interest of our community. So I'll move along to item number 2, approval of the agenda. The motion reads that the agenda for the Planning Advisory Committee meeting of June 3rd, 2025 be approved as presented. Do I have a mover? Ian, and a seconder? Mayor Shankar? All in favor? Motion carried. Are there any declarations of interest this evening? No, seeing none, we'll move to item 4, minutes of the meeting held March 27th. I have a recommendation that reads that the Planning Advisory Committee meeting minutes dated March 27th, 2025 be accepted as presented. May I have a mover? And Leanne, and a seconder? Mayor Shankar, all in favor? Motion is carried. Item 5.1 is a PAC report 05-2025 regarding a sign bylaw. Order to comply for 100 King Street East, Prescott. We have a potential recommendation that reads that the Planning Advisory Committee confirm the order to comply issued under bylaw 16-2019, which is the sign bylaw for the 2 banners affixed to the south and west walls of the building at 100 King Street East, because the signs do not meet the general intent and purpose of the bylaw. Can I have a mover and a seconder for discussion purposes? And Mayor Shankar. Our Chief Building Official Manager of Building and Bylaw Services, Sean Merriman, will speak to this portion of the meeting.
Through you, Madam Chair. In mid-March, bylaw staff became aware of the erection of 2 banners on the property located at 100 Edward Street without a signed permit request. Site visits were conducted and the bylaw was explained to the business. Additionally, staff offered solutions that would have rectified the non-compliance, including suggestions to place advertising within the windows, sandwich board signs, or to consider a mobile sign within an area on the property on the grounds at the rear, or obtaining a mobile sign for up to 90 days along the boulevard at the Giant Tiger Plaza. On May 9th, 2025, the owner of the business was issued an order to comply relating to the following sections of the sign bylaw. Installation of 2 banner signs on the exterior of the building located at the south and west sides without a permit and in violation of sections 5.0 D, G, and Q, section 6.2.5, and section 6.17 of the bylaw. The bylaw has been attached, but the most important one is probably Q of the bylaw, which says basically no banners are allowed in the residential areas of the town, the commercial core, or the mixed waterfront use, which is in the same general location. The other areas refer to the fact that it has to meet the downtown design guidelines, the fact that if you have a banner sign up, you're only allowed 1 fascia sign, stuff like that. The owner was given 14 days to determine if they wish to contest the order or to correct the issues and become compliant prior to May 26, 2025. On May 16th, 2025, the owner advised us that he wished to contest the order. following which the Planning Advisory Committee was scheduled to hear the matter. The bylaw has been attached. Basically, as I said earlier, their banners are just not allowed in the downtown. I submitted also 2 papers. Section 3.6 does say that they could appeal it here and consider a variance if you guys wanted to do that, but at the same point, he's here to contest the actual order tonight. But regardless, if we were to consider a variance, we basically determine if it meets the general intent and the purpose of the bylaw. And in many aspects, this bylaw's intent is determined by the impact on the community. We consider public safety, no sign should hinder a person's driving ability and safe navigation of the road. And from an aesthetics approach, no sign should diminish the overall curb appeal of the property or the general aesthetics of the community. So that's why the whole downtown general design guidelines came about, was to create a whole vibe and feel in the downtown. In this instance, staff believe the new signs closely resemble others that have already been installed. While there have been no formal reports of the signs being a distraction, the town has received multiple concerns regarding the banners. These particular signs are larger than typical banner style signs, and staff are concerned that if one were to become loose or blow into traffic, it could create safety issues. Additionally, the building currently benefits from grandfathered allowances, permitting more signage than what would typically be allowed today. Normally, you're only allowed a fascia sign on one front of the building. However, this building has fascia signs on all 4 sides. So again, the sign bylaw, the guiding principles, the intent of the bylaw is to regulate signs and displays for the controlling community appearance, safety, and the impact upon the areas or buildings identified in this bylaw for their historical or architectural significance. Staff conclude that the proposed sign may have a negative impact on the community and does not align with the intent and purpose of the sign bylaw or the town's downtown design principles. We've given you some additional alternatives, but the main alternative that we're hanging our hat on is that the order be upheld and the order to remove. I did see the owner here earlier, but he gets left at this point. Is he?
He's in the hallway.
Oh, okay, so the owner is here. And that's my report.
Through the chair, do we want to invite him in or no?
I was just going to ask if there were any comments from committee members, and then I was going to ask if the applicant wished to speak.
So I have a question first. Sorry, there's two banners, right?
Correct.
And we're asking,
South, one on the west.
are we asking to remove both or one?
Correct.
Both, okay. Originally, did we offer to let them have one up? So,
That was an initial discussion, and they initially agreed to that. However, they came back that they wanted both, so.
okay, so is one still an option?
Again, you guys, that would be an alternative.
Would that need a variance then?
Yes, I think so.
Can I ask another question? Are
Sure.
there any other banners in town?
Yep.
Same rule applies,
They will supply.
as long as the rules are the same for everybody.
Did any other committee members wish to speak? No. Hi, Bobby.
Hi, Maureen.
Would you like to speak?
Well, I guess we're gonna do this by banners that I put up on the building without the bylaw. I wasn't aware of the bylaw until I spoke to Sean. But then on that note, I went all over town and took pictures. And I could at least find 101 banners in this town. Every light lamp has a banner on it, downtown Prescott. Okay, the dollar store has, I got pictures here. Okay, well, here's mine. Here's my banners. Fine. And this is a picture of,
I don't know if the light posts count. Do they?
okay, well, they showed their banner.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, technically, it's the same material as all banners are being used at IDA drugstore as well. Okay, Katrina's have one, the Dollarama have one, the old flower shop has one. I got pictures of them all in here that you can take a look. And the wing house has several on the one side of the building. And the pop-ups, I think I count as 9 at the pop-ups. And then there's a Dollarama
Dollar Bazaar.
or Dollar Bazaar, sorry. And the flower shop.
Yeah.
And that's been up for about several years, that one. So I don't think it's fair that I put up 2 banners on my building while everybody else has banners all over the place.
Okay.
Is there any,
Matthew?
So a couple things, one, banners on lamp poles are not fixed to a building, therefore that's not considered a banner. Municipal properties aren't bound by the sign bylaw, so there's that. In terms of the other properties, absolutely, some are in violation, and but at the same time, we're talking about a building at Bobby's that already has 4 signs on the building. And now we're adding 2 more. So, and just in a court of law, pointing to everyone else that they're not following the rules isn't justification for also not following the rules.
But the wing house has 2 signs, one in front and one on the side. And you're allowing them 11 more signs on the side of the building.
So
I have 3. They have 2 signs, one on each side. Then they got an 11
yeah, so those aren't
signs.
banners, they're hard material, they're,
It shouldn't matter. It shouldn't matter.
well,
A banner to banner, sign to sign.
okay, so in your opinion.
Yeah, I'll do it.
But that's not how the bylaw.
Well, I don't think that's fair. I think that's discrimination.
Bobby, with
Yes.
respect to the banners, what would the impact be to your business if those banners weren't there?
Well, then banners, it helped my business. It's brought a lot of new people into my restaurant in the last couple of months. It's advertising to bring people in when people come into town.
Can I ask a question of probably mostly Sean, through the chair? Sean, if those banners were made of the same material as the wing house sign / banner, would that comply?
Possibly. The wing house, when they put up their placards, is what I refer to them as. You'll notice that a lot of them aren't necessarily talking about the greenhouse, we're talking about sporting events or heritage things that are occurring in the town. And that was part of why that establishment was allowed to put them up, because they weren't specific to advertising the wing house per se. I do know that we have talked to others, for example, like Chuck's Roadhouse, they originally wanted to put up some signs advertising certain features like their burger or whatever. And they were banners too, and we told them no at the time. So like I say, I'm not saying there wasn't an allowance for the wing house, but it had to do with not only the type of material that was being used, but the fact that it was more of a historical presentation or feature regarding sports teams than it was the thing, although I do see now they have apparently one sign with their menu on it, which I wasn't aware of, staring at the time, so.
Thank you.
Is there any other discussion from committee members or audience or staff?
I did want to clarify that when they first went up, I think you and I had a conversation and you were agreeable to remove one of them.
Yeah.
And you agreed to that and I took your word for that, but then you rescinded on that. So
Yeah, because I realized how many banners were in town.
then how many?
There's banners everywhere. So I mean, if everybody else could have a banner, but I can't have mine too, that's discrimination. I don't think that's fair at all.
Bobby, would you be interested in reconsidering and just having the one banner?
Yeah, I suppose I could.
I think that would be a solution that we could all agree with. If I may say.
So one of the alternatives then is to grant a variance. Is Chloe, are you? Chloe's working on it, right?
It'd be similar to number D.
It would.
Okay.
Madam Chair, if I
Yeah, go ahead.
I thank you for taking the time, Bobby, and going
Oh, yeah,
around
sure.
town. And
Yeah.
I think it shows that you're invested in our town as well as all of us around the
Right.
table in this room. And I didn't realize we had so many banners in town either. Just good. And I'm glad that these banners are helping your business, because that's important too.
Oh, absolutely.
That's important too. And, you know, we're here around the table making sure that people follow policies and procedures, because that's our job.
That's right.
And you have a job as well. And I think if we can just have the one banner to comply, and it won't affect your business and you can comply, and we're probably going to be working on others down the road as well.
Okay, great.
Right?
Super.
Yeah, so it's not just one person a rule, it's everybody needs to follow the policies and procedures that are put in place.
Okay, so I got one question. Who put the complaint in? Am I allowed to know?
No, we don't release that.
Pardon?
We don't release it.
Oh, you don't release it?
No, not unless you want to take us to court.
Okay.
That's like an awful lot of work just to find out who,
That's fine.
Yeah.
but there was more than one body.
Okay.
Chloe?
Through you, Madam Chair, could I receive some direction from the committee as to which sign they would be granting the variance from? If that would be the south or west wall of the property, so that I could indicate in the motion?
Did you say west?
West, yeah.
That's.
West is the one you want to keep?
The one I want to get rid of.
Okay, the one you want to get rid of.
Keep south.
So we'll keep the south.
Get it straight.
Good to see them.
If I can, just for the benefit of the committee, maybe there might be an opportunity for staff to review and provide commentary on some of those examples that have been provided, because I think, as Matthew said, those don't necessarily all fall under the definition of banner. And I believe there are actually some examples that were shown there that Mr. Merriman offered as an alternative to the business owner, and they're being shown as one and the same as the banner that's on the wall. So I do think it's important for the information of this committee to have a full grasp of what the different sign types are as we're making decisions on these things. And I did also want to advise the content of the banner itself was also one of the, there were several aspects to the banner that made it non-compliant, not just the fact that it was a banner. The content of the banner as well was part of that, which is regulated through our design guidelines. So I would just like to maybe have an opportunity to provide more education to the committee on what is and is not allowed, and what the different sign types are. Thank you.
Madam Chair, I have a follow-up on that. It's just like when we talk about affordable housing, right? Affordable housing means something different than it means to you or you, right? So a banner, what does a banner mean? It doesn't mean it's a sign that's not plexiglass. I don't know. right? But I love your comment that you'd like to educate us around the table and exactly what is needed, and I think that's important as well. Thank you.
Yeah.
Given that, would the committee like to defer a decision on this particular one until we come back with kind of that education piece?
I think we've come to a reasonable solution here. And if it's agreeable that that's the solution, we can still get educated going forward.
Okay.
Does that sound reasonable?
So what's the next step? We just have, we'll read a motion.
I'm just getting the verbiage from the order, because not only does the planning committee need to provide direction on a variance, but there's an order currently in place, and you are the appeal mechanism for the order. So we kind of have two matters to deal with as next steps. So the planning advisory committee will potentially hear a motion to grant a variance for one sign on fixed on the south wall. And then we need to deal with the order that's currently on. So we have kind of two matters. However, the motion that's on the floor will need to be called, which, if it's the intention of the committee not to proceed with the recommendation, then my understanding would be that the committee would vote to defeat that motion and reintroduce a second.
Okay.
This second motion.
Okay. Would the committee like me to read the original motion again? No? Okay, so all in favor?
Oh,
Opposed?
Sorry.
in favor of
The original,
favor.
so the very original one where we were going to confirm the order to comply.
Okay.
So, again,
So for clarity,
So
if
we
the
have to-
committee wished to defeat the motion, they would vote in opposition to the motion
Mhm.
on the floor, if that is
I
clarifying
see.
to the committee.
Okay.
so in opposition to the motion?
To defeat it, yeah.
Yes. Motion's defeated.
Oh, geez, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Okay, so I'll do them separately.
You can do them as one if you.
Can I? Okay.
Sorry. All right. Were you trying to wave at me?
However, that's your prerogative.
Sorry.
Okay, I'm going to read the motion now that the Planning Advisory Committee grant a variance from bylaw 16-2019, the sign bylaw, to allow for one banner affixed to the south wall of the building located at 100 King Street East. Additionally, and that the Planning Advisory Committee rescind Order 2025-020 A, order to comply pursuant to bylaw 16-2019. May I have a mover? Leanne, and a seconder, Mayor Shankar? All in favor? Motion's carried. Okay, we'll move along to 5.2. Item 5.2 is a PAC report 06-2025 regarding the Community Improvement Program application under the Heritage Conservation Area located at 533 King Street West, John LaBelle and Karen Caldwell. We have a potential recommendation that reads that CIP application 2025-01 for 533 King Street West be approved in part by the Planning Advisory Committee under the Heritage Conservation Area to a maximum of $9,000 in non-repayable property improvement grant funding and $0 in repayable loan funding. Can I have a mover? Mover? Oh, Susan, thank you. And a seconder? Leanne? Our Economic Development Officer, Dana Valentine, will speak to the report.
Thank you, Chair Young, for you to the committee. So we have a request for heritage funding for property located at 533 King Street. Recommendation is approval of the grant portion only, given the majority of planned work is to improve functionality versus preservation of heritage elements. We're not recommending loan funding for approval at this time. Key improvements include wall insulation, drywall, room layout adjustments, kitchen renovations, HVAC, electrical, and plumbing upgrades. On review, all eligibility requirements are met, and alternatives are to decline requested funding, approve select categories only, or approve a reduced amount of requested funding. No environmental implications anticipated, and the application package was attached for review. Happy to answer any questions.
Any comments or questions from the committee?
Is that the house with the mural on the side of it? Okay, yeah.
I don't remember the mural.
Mural? I don't think it's
On the
Yeah.
On the west
west
side.
wall,
on this one?
yeah,
Cool.
there is.
Okay.
No changes anticipated to the mural.
To the
All
mural, staying
interior.
intact. Nothing more for me.
James, did you have any questions?
No, not at this time, thank you.
I think just with heritage, that we have to be careful of with the heritage requests is that stays consistent with the heritage features. And that it's not something that's going to detract from the heritage architecture or style or features. And that it should be something that's going to enhance the heritage features rather than a modern day fix kind of thing.
Especially on heritage property.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly what are they, improvements are they doing?
So I can take you through just the description. Essentially, they're going to restore the mudroom and the kitchen. Those are the key areas. Mudroom would be rehabilitating the stone walls, reinforcing them, framing and insulating. And then winterizing the room with spray foam, subfloor, the like, and support beam for the kitchen floor joist will be replaced. Kitchen update would involve taking everything down to the studs to add new framing, energy efficiencies, plumbing and electrical upgrades, and the size of the room will be adjusted to remove the interior wooden door. And they plan to put a trap door in instead of the full basement door to access the basement from here. And kitchen and mudroom will have mechanical venting added, energy efficient appliances, and electrical panel upgrades, as well as a new HVAC system for the property. There is old flashing caulking on existing windows. So that would be one aspect of a preservation. And original exterior door, which was removed prior to the purchase of the home, will be returned to the back exterior mudroom. So that is one aspect of the heritage preservation that would happen as a result of this. It's very much it is a preservation project. It's preserving the life of the property. So that can't be discounted, but at the same time, they aren't necessarily restoring or preserving heritage aspects. So I think, in discussions with the CAO, there may be an appetite for the committee to take a look at the CIP program and the eligibility requirements for the heritage category and maybe tighten that up a little bit. So it's not quite as wide open. And we've never actually had an application come forward for residential privately used property. All of our heritage applications in the past have been for properties that are public in some nature because they're either owned by a nonprofit, it's a church, it's a public entity. So there's opportunities for the public to benefit from, those heritage preservations. This is quite a bit different. And I'll be honest with you, I don't think we really anticipated a lot of just straight up residential applications for heritage designated properties coming through this program. So we would recommend that the committee take a look at this, and it would mean a full amendment of the program, which we just went through. But that doesn't mean, I think that the committee can apply their own interpretation of the eligibility, and if they feel it doesn't quite meet the intent of what we're trying to do with the program, that there would be some wiggle room to say, maybe we need to look at a reduced amount, which is what we're recommending today. We're recommending approval of just the grant versus the loan. Again, given that it is a private property, there could be a mortgage attached to it. There's a lot of complications too that come from actually delving into loan funds for a property that is strictly residential and privately used. They're not generating income.
Right.
It's not like a business that we're funding or a property owner, a commercial property owner that generates income through rent. So it does make it a little bit riskier, I would say, for potential repayment default.
And the other thing that I was thinking about as well is that a lot of our applicants can't tap into traditional funding, but because this is a residence, traditional funding may be available to them as well. So I thought that was that's something to consider as well.
Yeah, commercial lending is much harder.
Mm-hmm.
I do like the idea of the grant though for restoration and for preserving the houses that are, so prominent in the town, because there are so many that are in disrepair. And the fact that somebody is investing in making areas that are really obvious look better and sustainable, it is a positive in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, it's that preservation piece that is certainly the intent of the program,
Mm-hmm.
along with really trying to retain as much of those heritage aspects as possible. Sean, did you want?
The only thing I will say is, in all honesty, I've been in this building already. Without the support beam for the floor joists and the support beam that they put in for the roof, it was just a matter of time till the back end of that house was going to be in a lot of trouble.
Right.
Let's put it that way. So although the stone features are the heritage won't stay if you don't
Right.
have the roof.
Yeah,
and
the house
floor.
falls down.
So that's all I'd like to add to it, is that it really did need the maintenance. Don't get me wrong, the cupboards were really nice you're putting in, and I'm sure that's what's most important to me. To me, it was actually the support beams
Right.
that were important.
Any other comments or discussion? No? So, would you like me to read the recommendation again, or? Okay. So all in favor? I did get a mover and second. Okay. All in favor? Motion's carried. 5.3. Item 5.3 is PIC report 07-2025 regarding the community improvement program application under the Heritage Conservation Area located at 389 Edward Street from Carmela LaRue. We have a potential recommendation that reads that CIP application 2025-02 for for 389 Edward Street be approved in part by the Planning Advisory Committee under the Heritage Conservation Area to a maximum of $9,000 in non-repayable property improvement grant funding and $0 in repayable loan funding. Can I have a mover? Susan, and a seconder, Dan. Dina Valentine will speak to this report.
Thank you, Chair Young, through you to the committee. We have a CIP application for 389 Edward Street, corner of Edward and Dibble. It's a request for $9,000 in grant funding and $31 to $25 in loan funding. Recommendation is for the full request of grant, $0 in loan funding. Very similar application to the previous one, privately owned property, not used for commercial or public purposes. Key improvements include replacement of the front balcony, which is a heritage aspect, replacement of the rear balcony, a secondary entrance, garage doors, and HVAC upgrades. No eligibility concerns, same alternatives as previous to either decline, approve select categories only, or approve a reduced amount, and no environmental implications anticipated. And this is a 4-unit residential building, so it's a fourplex. The application is being submitted by the property owner, which I believe also occupies one of the units. There's, as you can see, a variety of improvements, mostly to exterior areas that they have been the subject of some water damage that occurred before they replaced the eavesdrop, which will also be done as part of this project. So again, it will preserve the property itself, so certainly viable from that standpoint. There will be the porch upgrades, which is a heritage aspect, the portion that fronts onto Edward. And then beyond that, it's HVAC and typical residential upgrades to improve some deficiencies around the property. And our recommendation is for the full grant request and $0 for the loan. They requested a much smaller loan amount for this application. And I'm happy to entertain any questions.
Does the committee have any questions? None?
No.
No? Okay, I'll call the question then. All in favor? The motion's carried. Okay, 5.4. CIP application in the downtown area, 235 Water Street, Unit 306A, Lindsay Carew, Riverwalk Foot Care. We have a potential recommendation that reads that CIP application 2025-03 for 235 Water Street, Unit 306A be approved in full by the Planning Advisory Committee under the downtown area to a maximum of $22,000 in non-repayable property improvement grant funding. May I have a mover? Ann, and a seconder, Mayor Shankar. And again, Dana will speak to the report.
Thank you, Chair Young, through you to the committee. So we have an application under the downtown category. This time, property is located in what you likely know as the Prescott Place building. It's in the easternmost unit on the Water Street side. It's a unit that's been vacant for several years now. Medics for Events would have been the last commercial occupant in that space. And then for the last few years, Water Girl Quilt has actually been using it for some storage. So they no longer require it, and the owner has leased it out to a new foot care clinic that is going to be opening, Riverwalk Foot Care, owned and operated by Lindsay Carew. She has a few upgrades that need to be completed for the property to suit her needs, and has requested CIP funding up to $22,000 in grant funding. Total project cost is estimated at 30, but I usually advise applicants to request the full amount available. And then if they run into overages, they haven't left themselves in a situation where, but rest assured, they would not receive more than 50% of what they're expensing as part of the program requirements. And not, mostly, aesthetic, the cosmetic renovations, some paint. She does need to bring a sink in, some plumbing upgrades to retrofit the space for their needs. New signage, of course, will be going on. We would be funding that through this as well. And then just some minor improvements inside as she plans to put some new flooring down. Like I say, mostly just cosmetic. And no environmental implications anticipated. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Nina. Is there any discussion?
Be nice to see Prescott Place spruced up a little bit, I think.
And it's always great to have more healthcare services. in town.
Absolutely.
Okay, I will call the question then. All in favor? Carried. Item 5.5, the CIP financial record. Item 5.5 is the Community Improvement Plan financial record. This is for information purposes, and Matthew Armstrong will speak to the report.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. So as you can see from the first page of the report, at the end of 2024, a little over $1 million had been approved by the committee. Paid to date is about just shy of 665, and 222,000 was unused, either through them not needing double amount, or some were closed and others were canceled. So we were able to put that $222,000 to get back into the plan. And then when we take a look at kind of the bottom, the next page, you can see that between 2018 and 2024, there were 78 total projects approved. 64 have been closed out. That leaves 14 remaining, plus the 3 that were approved this evening. So we're in pretty good shape. That being said, if there's no other projects that are closed out this year, we do have a little bit of a problem where we don't have very much funding left to allocate. So there are a couple of projects that we're expecting aren't going to require the full amount. And so once we have that verification, then we'll add that back into the fund and be able to move more applications forward.
Thank you, Matthew. Okay, new business. Does anyone have any new business that they would like to bring forward? No. Was there any interest, and I'm not sure if we do this here, Chloe, or was there any interest in staff looking at the CIP plan with respect to the heritage designation area to maybe tighten up some of to make it clear on what our intention is in terms of preserving and
Maybe if I could suggest, Matt, you could provide a summary of what that amendment process looks like what that would entail if the community so chose.
Is
So, if I paraphrase, so sometime in the next meeting or so, we would come back with an education on science, and we have possible amendments for the committee to consider for CIP. You're okay with that? I don't think you need to pass a motion. Just
okay.
If you're okay with those kind of marching orders, so we'll take and work towards that.
Okay, everyone okay with that?
Yes.
Thank you, Matthew.
And if I can, that was a poor choice of word. And I was certainly not meant to provide an education to the committee. It's more context, right? Because I was seeing signs being passed that did not meet the definition of what that individual was disputing. So just maybe an opportunity for staff to provide even clarification.
Clarification.
Education works.
Clarification and
I think that's why I said, like, different terms means different things to people, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, the individual thought that it was a banner, may not have been a banner. It would have been a banner to me.
And understanding the rationale too is helpful.
Right.
Yeah.
And in many cases, I think a lot of the signs that were being presented were ones that are actively going through a bylaw, non-compliance process. So they were just, you know what I mean, supporting.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think at least 2 of them are on our list.
Yeah.
And
But I will acknowledge I've never seen the accountant one. Apparently it's been there for a while.
Which one?
One for the accountant. He said, I've never seen it till tonight.
We've been
You
educated.
got the patient over there still there.
I think there's some over there.
Oh, okay. So there's one for accounting and I was like, wow, I didn't know
The
that.
Katarina's one, I didn't realize that's on the roof, it looks like.
Yeah.
And that's the only sign that's there except for that.
But they got a pylon sign too.
We're still alive.
That's good. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yep, we can provide some clarification. Just thank you.
Clarification. Yeah.
Okay, so there's no media here tonight. And we will move along to item number 8, which is adjournment. I have a recommendation that the Planning Advisory Committee meeting be adjourned and the time is 6:15 PM. Do I have a mover? Susan, and a second?